It is once again time to gaze upon some of the secrets of the Dark Prince Slaanesh. Today I am here to share with you my idea for the Slaaneshi brother of Tamurkhan, though in the case of this champion of chaos, it's actually a sister. But before we get too far talking about the champion, I want to talk about Slaanesh. Slaanesh is a chaos god that is hard to pin down. This is because the Dark Prince's area of expertise bleeds into the realms of all the other chaos gods. This certainly makes him one of the most unique gods in the pantheon. As an example of what I'm talking about, manipulation and scheming is what Tzeentch does best, and I'm sure that is the chaos god most of you would identify with those two things. But what is temptation and seduction if not a form of manipulation? Some of the most deceptive demons in Warhammer aren't the Tzeentchian horrors, screamers, or flamers, but Slaanesh's demonettes and keepers of secrets. They lull in their prey, making them think they are one of the most beautiful creatures in existence. Then they show their true form and the true pain begins. The comparison between Slaanesh and Tzeentch doesn't just end there. They both actually benefit from the continued existence of the world. Khorne certainly would want to see the destruction and apocalypse that comes with the end of men, but for Tzeentch, the end is the antithesis of all he stands for. After the end, there can be no change. For Slaanesh, he is the god of excess. He needs civilizations to thrive in order for them to indulge in their desires. This is outright stated in the lore, as most Slaanesh worshippers don't come from the northern tribes of the Chaos Wastes, but in the pleasure cults of the elves and men. This is why during the final battle of the end times, Slaanesh sent his most incompetent servants to aid his brothers. Tzeentch should have also done this, by the way, if he was true to his character, which is why the end times shouldn't have ever worked, but that is a different subject. All of these things mean that Slaanesh is a very interesting chaos god. So what aspect of this god do I have my chaos champion representing? Well, truly, my Slaaneshi champion represents the Dark Prince in many ways. One is in beauty. I personally am over the Slaaneshi concept of their mortals being ugly yet beautiful. My champion is both heavily mutated while still maintaining a pretty appearance. They aren't quite on par with Sigvald, but that's only because they have a tougher time hiding all their mutations. The other thing I wanted to hone in on is a more abstract concept of Slaanesh. Many excerpts of Slaanesh talk about how there is a sort of numbing effect that happens, where the pleasure turns to pain. Demonettes can inflict this feeling with a single touch, but I wanted my Chaos Champion to personify this effect. Serena is my Chaos Champion of Slaanesh, the final caress and the siren of Slaanesh. She is manipulative, scheming, proud, and lethal. At first glance, she appears to wear a flowing dress, amplifying her natural beauty, but is in fact just one of her mutations. What seems like a fine fabric of a dress is actually a thin membrane of skin, and the stinging tentacles of a jellyfish hang all over her. A single touch of her skin begins to numb the area, but as the poisonous stings accumulate in number, the victim soon feels the burning pain that comes with them. By this time it is far too late to escape her. Her hair is perhaps one of her more noticeable features, as it is entirely replaced by the arms of a squid. Once the poison renders you incapacitated, the squid-like arms will wrap around you. Honestly, I think the serene beauty of a silent floating jellyfish is the perfect inspiration for a minion of Slaanesh. It's just too good to pass up on. Upon that stage stood a figure of chaos, both terrible yet beautiful to behold. Her skin was unnaturally perfect and fair, but on closer inspection you could see how her body fused with what at first appeared to be a long flowing dress. A pale purple, this dress of hers was a part of her body, like an extra appendage of some sort. Long strands of barbed tentacles dangled from this dress, and lace-like features lined parts of her body. Along her legs and arms she grew fins, which melted from the light purple hue of her skin into a bright sea green. Her face retained the sculpted features of a beautiful woman, but the long squirming arms of a squid entirely replaced her hair. Her yellow eyes, now more than ever, seemed to me like lures in darkness. Now you may have noticed I used a lot of Tzeentchian descriptors for Serena. That is because Tzeentch is the chaos god who influences her doom. Her path to demonhood is a unique one. She aims to take over the Kislevite city of Erengrad, not through war, but through peace. She wants to unite the Norse dwarfs and the High Elves of Ulthuan in order for them to focus less on fighting and more on creation. With Erengrad under her control and the spreading of Slaanesh cults into the dwarf guilds and high elf colonies, She hopes that Slaanesh will reward her efforts with the honor of becoming a demon princess. It's up to unlikely allies to discover and put an end to her schemes and plans. You can read about it all in the short story linked in the description. That's about all for me here. Thank you all for watching and listening to my TED Talk about Slaanesh, the Prince of Pleasure. And please, if you enjoyed this video, take a look at some of my other ones as well. Are you a big fan of Slaanesh? Well, I got a video further exploring the demons of Slaanesh just for you. As always, let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'll be back soon to talk about an entirely different topic as well as continuing my discussion of demons with a focus on Tzeentch. Thanks and have a great day.